This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Jeff Galloway, and you are listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 145. It's the Run, Eat, Drink podcast holiday special, and I'm your host, Aimee.
And I'm your co-host, Dana. And unlike the Star Wars holiday special, there will be no embarrassing gold lame outfits.
No gold lame.
No.
Or
bad animation or unexpected appearances by B. Arthur.
No, none. Better run, eat, drink segments.
Exactly.
That's what's better.
If you've never seen the Star Wars holiday special, get on YouTube and check it out. You'll totally understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, but then will they have... That's time that they can't get back in their lives. And
it is true. You
Yeah.
will never get that hour back, but
Yeah.
you can at least say you've seen it.
That's true.
Wow.
Is it a cultural... Is it like...
It
piece of Americana culture,
No.
whatever? No.
I don't even know what.
Clearly, I haven't seen it.
I don't know what you'd call it. It's not good. But
Okay.
you know what?
So-
On second thought,
No?
just
It's
enjoy
good.
the
It's
Run, Eat,
good.
Drink podcast holiday special.
Yeah, let's
'Cause
enjoy.
Ours is going to be
Here
way better.
we are, and it is chocked full of. Is it chock?
Chalk.
Chock full of holiday goodness from the Runcation Nation, in fact, and from a local brewery special holiday-esque releases last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing something a little bit different. I think this week we're going to be looking back a little bit.
Yeah.
And tapping into the collective wisdom of the Runcation Nation. And then I think maybe next week we'll do a little look forward.
Yeah, what we're looking forward to in 2021.
Yeah.
As we say goodbye to
This year.
this year. You know what we're saying when we say this year.
Exactly.
Yeah. So today on the show, we'll be talking about gifts of running, not necessarily physical gifts, but gifts that running brought to us in 2020, as well as holiday food traditions that we have and that you have in the Runcation Nation, and 8 Foot Brewing's weekend releases.
I'm very excited. I was seeing some of the input from members of the Runcation Nation today on social media.
Yay.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun to talk about and
Yes.
share. And of course, I was there for the beer releases at 8 Foot. So
Of course.
I'm a little partial to that.
Well, I mean, you sampled both.
I did.
Yeah. We didn't have all of them because, we had to be in the upright holiday prepping and planning position
This is true. One thing
after we left.
Yeah, this week, of course, as we are recording, it is December 21st. That means we are in the home stretch for the big day.
Yes. Thursday is Christmas Eve and Friday is Christmas Day. So, yeah.
So work is, like for me, work is all about trying to wrap up most of what you're going to be doing for 2020.
I see what you did. Wrap up.
Did
it again.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
I know.
Tip your waitress. So, trying to wrap everything up for the end of the year, and then you've got a little bit of time right after the holidays. But we all know in most workplaces, starting around lunchtime tomorrow,
We're winding down.
everybody's winding down.
It's the wind down.
And you're not really going to start back up in earnest in most workplaces till, January 2nd.
Right. So we're just going to start our holiday celebration with this show.
Yeah, and tonight's podcasting juice is actually we're celebrating a little bit early. This would be a great ingredient for a festive eggnog.
Lovely. And also a recommendation from a patron.
Yes, we are trying a little bit of Redemption Rye.
We're comparing it to Bullet Rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very tasty.
Yeah.
A lot of caramel notes. A lot of.
I think the Redemption has more caramel notes than Bullet.
I would agree.
Yeah, we're skipping straight to the drink segment. Not really. No, we're not.
No, that's just us trying that as we're recording here. But
yes.
Really very interesting. That would actually, I think, make a good spirit to go with an eggnog.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Note to
we
self.
Should try it.
We've never, honestly, in all the years.
Usually it's rum, isn't
doing
it?
Eggnog. Well, usually
No?
for eggnog, it's usually like a Tennessee whiskey. Or brandy.
I just drink it.
Coquito, like we talked about last
true.
week, that tends to be where you see rum. But this wouldn't be bad. I could really picture this complementing, the like
nutmeg,
the nutmeg flavors, the richness of like the custardy nature of eggnog.
Love it.
So,
love it.
Yeah, real interesting.
Makes me almost want to brave the store to get some eggnog.
Oh, let's not get carried away.
No,
you did that today.
I did for some last minute
on your
cooking
gimpy knee.
items. Yeah, I tried. And on my gimpy knee, speaking of that, we should head into the run segment of our show.
Yes.
Where we talk training updates and then what we got out of 2020, gifts of running in 2020.
Well, let's talk about your knee. Since I mentioned it and you braved going to the grocery store today.
Slowly, very, very slowly. And I went for like 2 items that were close together.
And you were in and out in like 5 minutes, right?
No.
No.
It was a zoo. It was a zoo, but it was okay because I was moving nice and slow behind everybody who was trying to find last minute items like eggs, eggnog, all the things. So, yeah, I've been doing my at-home PT assignments, my exercises, and I have my follow-up with the doctor, and he says, we're going to have to see if this helps you. He's very straightforward and in his manner
prognosis
and demeanor, and he cuts to the chase. He's very nice, but he doesn't sugarcoat, but he's also very caring.
Yeah. He's a realist.
Yeah.
And he wants to prepare you. He's like,
yeah.
Because I was there and he was, yeah, I mean, that's the best way to put it. He's very caring, but he's not sugarcoating anything.
Mm-hmm. Caring, but a realist. And he says, you're doing the at-home exercises. Let's continue the recovery at home and let's do some physical therapy. So I have physical therapy starting on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Morning. Yes, Christmas Eve morning.
So we not only share an orthopedic surgeon, we are going to be sharing physical therapists now.
Yep.
And I can tell you from my experience with her, you're going to love her and you're going to hate her.
I'm sure.
I used to jokingly call her concentrated evil because she's about 98 pounds soaking wet and she makes you hate every minute that you're there. But if you recall, my recovery was very
strong
and rapid. So I credit her very heavily with that. So you have a lot to look forward to.
So there you go. So yeah. What about you? What's your update for the week?
Oh, well, let's see. I actually am just having a little bit of irritation with my left Achilles tendon. Okay. It's kind of a persistent ache and a little bit of almost a burning sensation. So I've been trying to take it easy with doing any of the short runs this week. This morning I got up with the intention of knocking out one of the final bigger races for 2020.
One of the virtuals.
And I said, this may not be the best day to do it. I'm going to put that off until the weekend.
Yeah, take care of your self-care is very, very important.
So I'm doing a little bit of the BFF massager on the tendon, some ice, and just resting it a little bit and a little bit of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, just to help that along.
Good.
In the past, I've had really bad tendinitis in one of my tendons, one of my Achilles, and that is awful. So I'm hoping to forestall that. I don't want that to develop into something like that. So
take care of yourself.
Yeah, I'd rather do that. But all in all, I mean, I did get up this morning. I knocked out about 1.5 miles, just a brisk walk. No running intervals this morning. I had the dogs with me on the. We went out right after it stopped raining. The rabbits were out, so the dogs were wanting to chase rabbits, and the weather was just such that the dogs were very excited, but they weren't wanting to focus on going from point A to point B. They were excitedly chasing rabbit scents. So it wasn't a great morning to try to get any time, records.
Right.
So.
Good. Yeah.
I'll do that for the weekend.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah. So worst case scenario, we'll end up doing like an running update on maybe the next episode with a couple of races or a couple of virtuals that have gotten done in the meantime.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really it for me is mainly trying to keep that Achilles from getting inflamed.
Good. Take care.
Yeah.
2020. It's interesting.
It's the year that keeps on giving.
But it has given us some really great things in the arena of running and the running community.
This is true. I mean, as much as we like to joke about what a turd of a year 2020 has been, we've been very fortunate in some respects. And a lot of that has to do with people that we've met.
Yes.
Has a lot to do with the fact that so many people in the Runcation Nation have rallied around to support us and help us.
Very much so.
And we've gotten closer with people in the Runcation Nation. So we have some things to be, to celebrate and to be thankful for and happy about.
And when I think back to the start of 2020, I think about, and I actually treasured the last live races we had before the first shutdowns of 2020 with the pandemic. Like in January when we went over to Fort Lauderdale and did the A1A half in episode 96. In January, we got our first taste of American Icon Brewing.
Yeah.
And so that was great.
And that was our first time doing a race over there. And
beautiful scenery.
Having done that race, that's one I would go back to. I really enjoyed the course.
Yeah, you had Tullamore on the course, so come on.
Well, yes, but I was also thinking in terms of, you had kind of a variety of scenery. You ended up running from downtown along the beach.
Yeah, and in a park also.
And in basically a nature preserve park. So you got kind of three very distinct areas or vistas, but just a lot of fun and what a great vibe at that race too. Everybody was super friendly. The
first time we had done it,
great. Yeah, I had nothing bad to say about that trip at all. We lucked out and found a great hotel right over there on A1A.
We did.
It happened to be walking distance from the finish line
and the start.
Well, sort of. It was walking distance from where the buses picked us up to take us to the start.
True.
So, I mean, there was nothing bad about that race at all. And like you said, American Icon Brewing was a great find.
Great food, great beverage, and it gave us an introduction to that area and that we want to go back there and experience more of what they have.
Yeah, now that happened to be one of the counties where when we really had the heavy lockdowns here in Florida, that was one of the counties that was locked down first, one of the last to be unlocked, So because they were having higher than average rates of infection there.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we can get back over there.
Yeah.
Soon.
And the other experience that comes to mind is the Donna Marathon weekend, which we recapped in episodes 98, 99, and 100.
Now, it's a rare day that we do the same race over multiple episodes.
But this one is very special to us because it was founded by our coach, along with Donna Deegan, who is the namesake of the race, a local news anchor woman.
Yes.
Her husband's a weatherman, and she is she's a breast cancer survivor.
And her doctor is one of the leading cancer researchers there at the Mayo
Clinic. Yeah. And Jeff Galloway, the trio.
Yeah.
They founded this race. And so, that race is very near and dear to our hearts, and we run it to honor Dana's mom every year.
Yeah, and we do the 5K social shakeout run, the 5K proper, and then the half marathon.
Yeah, but they also have a marathon, and they also have an ultra marathon, and they've gone entirely virtual for 2021.
Yes,
to keep everybody as safe as possible and plan as much as possible, as effectively as possible.
Yeah, and that's one of those races. While I understand in my brain why race organizers are doing it, I get very
sad.
My first reaction is I get sad, I get upset, disappointed that races are getting canceled.
Yeah.
Of all the races that we've seen go virtual or get, the in-person race getting canceled, this is the one that I'm probably the most understanding of, because when you're on that course, whether it's the social shakeout, the 5K, or the half that we do, you're running out there very often elbow to elbow with people who are in various stages of battling cancer.
Yes.
And you'll have people who are currently undergoing treatment who are out there on the course with you. You'll also have people running in memoriam of people they've lost. You'll have people who are survivors who are running.
Yeah,
so,
like Andy.
Like Andy Sharp. Dr. Andy Sharp.
One of the most amazing people that we got a chance to know over the last 3 years that we've done that race. And it's just the stories are inspiring, amazing, and I can't wait until we can do it in person again.
Yeah, and
I'll say that.
And we got the opportunity to do an interview while we were up there.
Yes.
That I think is very inspiring.
Well, with Angela.
Yes.
Yes, Andy hooked us up with Angela, and she shared her journey of being diagnosed and recovering, and the ultimate experience ultimately changing her career path.
Yeah.
So it was just that is near and dear to my heart, and I'm so grateful that in 2020 we got a chance to do that before everything happened.
And you have the bittersweet of what that race is there for.
Yeah.
And then you juxtapose it when you're in an area like Duval County or Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Largest city in the state of Florida by land area, one of the largest by population in the entire state of Florida. You have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to food and drink there.
Oh, like we have covered so many great places over the last 3 years that we've done that. And I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we go there, trying to seek out some new stuff for you guys each time. There are some things that we do revisit because the social shakeout always is hosted at Southern Grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great coffee and breakfast and brunch spot. But we try to find other locations
like
there.
The Bearded Pig. Oh yeah.
Amazing barbecue.
Fantastic. Very, very tasty. And Scofflaw.
Scofflaw Brewing.
Yeah. Or no, that's in
Atlanta. Sorry.
Oh, gosh darn it. Veterans United.
That's the one.
Yes. Sorry.
Another amazing one.
Yeah, it's in Atlanta, which we didn't get to do.
And we got an amazing tour there at Veterans United because we ended up meeting the owner and the head brewer.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome to sit with him, walk through some beers with him,
Learn the history.
Because people forget that Jacksonville's a military town.
Yeah.
And, the fact that you got this brewery that really is kind of catering, it's not just for veterans, but it, really it honors them and celebrates them and their sacrifices and their, it just great to see that. And it was just a cool space and great stuff on the walls and the beers were really good too.
Yeah.
And I find myself wearing that shirt a lot.
You do, and I think of it, then I think of the Jacksonville area and that whole race weekend very, very fondly. So, And then I think about, on the other end of the spectrum, I think about when the races came back and how happy we were locally. And I do agree. I was listening to the Will Run For podcast earlier today, and people
should check them out.
They're great. They're great. They're about to take a hiatus for the end of the year. So this was like their year-end wrap-up episode. And they're talking about their philosophy or their estimation, the best that they can tell with their history of running races, trail races and local races and bigger races like Disney. They say we'll probably see the smaller local races come back and in person, and then the medium-sized, and it'll be the longest before we see the larger races return. And I'm inclined to agree.
I am too. I think that they're going to want to see success at the smaller scale before larger organizations are willing to put themselves out there.
And larger organizations with larger groups have additional logistics to consider that they have to work out before they can get back to hosting their events.
Right. And I think that there comes a point where if you're not going to try to do the social distancing thing or a mask mandate,
just very hard.
You can't do it yet.
Yeah.
They're waiting on whether it's going to be a combination of people getting immunized plus herd immunity, and once you've got that, then that's when your medium and large size events are going to really come back in force. So I think that you're probably,
I agree with them,
sadly looking at 18 to another 24 months. I think before we see big events.
They were like, well, let's see what happens in the fall.
Yeah.
But live races, the live races that came back that were postponed for months and months, and they kept saying, we're going to have it still, like the Freedom 5K that we did in episode 136. I can't tell you how big and wide my smile was, and everybody knew it if you jumped in on the live that we did for that whole entire 5K.
Yeah, the Freedom 5K is normally a bridge run on the 4th of July, and they put it off for, 4 months?
Yeah, October is when it returned, and it
3
was
months.
supposed to be in July, the very beginning of July, and they had it mid-October.
And instead of doing a bridge run, we ran kind of next to one of our bridges here in Cape Coral, but it was in our one of our parks that really celebrates our veteran heritage here in Cape Coral. Cape Coral is a very veteran-friendly city. We have a large population of retirees from the military
and
here.
You talked about that a lot on 136.
Yeah, and the park that we were running in has a replica of the Iwo Jima monument.
Yeah.
As well as other monuments to the various branches of the military.
Which is great.
What a great event. I mean, it's mainly a park run and some stuff in some rather secluded neighborhoods, but it was our first time doing a live and in-person race.
Salute out to the Bat Dad. You know who you are.
Yeah, Bat Dad was great.
Yeah.
Not the Bat Dad, but our Bat Dad.
And if you're interested and you haven't listened to that episode, it's 136.
Yeah.
That you can go back and listen to and hear us talk about him and that whole race experience. And in October, we had the Goblin Gallop that we recapped 138.
Just something that's
costumes and Halloween
themed, and an excuse to dress up in costume. And again, another park run.
Small
event.
Closed course, very
closed course. Both of these events run basically starting in one of our local parks, go into a local neighborhood, and then
Little
back
bit
to
of
the
it.
park.
Just a little bit of it.
And it was perfect. Weather was great. The people were having a blast. Everybody was being smart.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if they were spacing out in the park, and then, you know, a lot of people had masks, not only Halloween masks, but masks.
And costumes for that one. That was great for Halloween. And I just, to see that come back, and then to have the turkey trot, the Elite Events turkey trot.
Yeah, we just talked about that a few weeks ago on episode 141. This is our second time doing this particular turkey trot, and it's one of my favorites because the course is so well managed. It is a kind of a double loop course.
Yeah.
But it's basically in the parking lot and around a large sports arena.
Yeah, Hertz Arena in Estero. It's the venue where we have a lot of hockey and ice skating events when events can be held.
Right.
Yeah.
And the organizers did an amazing job. Everything was just scientific. I mean, they were bam, bam, bam. They were ready to rock. You got there. They had their stuff in order. The medal for a Thanksgiving turkey trot.
We did go on about that.
Was way better than it deserved to be. But what a great medal.
Yeah. Fantastic. Very reminiscent of some of the amazing Disney medals.
Yeah, it really was.
That we've had. So, I mean, those are, when I think about actual races and experiences, those are gifts that were brought to us by running in 2020.
Yeah, I think that after this year where everybody's been so isolated and wanting that sense of community to actually have the opportunity to get back out with members of your tribe.
Yeah.
The running community.
Back of the packers like us.
And front of the pack, back of the pack, it really didn't matter. You know, everybody was just happy to be at these events. And you could tell. And it was just amazing to feel that energy, even if you were doing it 6 feet apart with masks on, you know, but getting the chance to get out and do a shared experience with other people, I think was pretty awesome.
Well, we've had a different kind of shared experience when I think about the middle of 2020, when I think about what has happened in our community. And it kicked off as a result of meeting James Gray at the Donna Marathon weekend.
Yeah.
And him becoming a part of our Runcation Nation and community and becoming our first patron. But then as in-person races started to get canceled and we had to go virtual, and we made those kind of live events virtually, like with Instagram and Facebook, and, you know, building as much of a virtual experience for our community as we possibly could when we did the Star Wars virtual, when the Run Disney Star Wars races were canceled. That gave us a chance to connect to so many people. And when we started to do, and we continue to do now, our beer chats and our coffee chats, just being able to connect with fellow runners like us when we can't connect in person.
Yeah, you know, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. We didn't know what we were going to do. As this all started happening, everybody with a business out there, small businesses, were like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do? And you know, we're a travel podcast for runners, and, you know, you can't travel.
Right.
So, you know, trying to figure out what we could do. And for us, it's not about making money. I mean, we are a quote unquote business, but honestly, you know, this is a passion project. You know, graciously, many of you sponsor us and buy merchandise and help support us to keep us going. But, you know, it's still mainly a passion project, and we certainly pay more into what we do than money that we make. And it's because
For
we
now.
love doing it.
Yeah.
Eventually, you know,
We hope. We have
you're
dreams.
taking over
We
the
have-
running world.
We have wishes. We have dreams and hopes and goals.
But we were like, what can we do? Because we're small but mighty, and we said, well, what do we have to offer?
Yeah.
And what we had to offer was our couch,
Yeah.
and what we had to offer was some time and friendship and just
a way to unplug from the 24-hour news cycle when it got really intense and really stressful.
yeah, and when every news outlet is trying to see who can be the most dire, and giving people a place to escape to for 60 minutes is really what we were shooting for, once a week. Part of it was because we were looking for that too. And we found it with some of our, some places that we've come to love over the years. Some of the performers from Raglan Road up in Orlando.
See them do some live videos.
Raglan Road sent all their performers back to Ireland, and the performers were like, "Oh my gosh, what can we do?" And they're holed up in their houses or apartments, and they were just doing these live broadcasts to help people pass the time. And we thought, you know what, we really enjoy watching these. Our friend. Friend of the show, Nice Guys Pizza.
Yeah.
They were doing virtual music events.
That was fantastic.
And watching those and being able to do those virtually. So we said, you know what, we can do something like that. And that's kind of where we had experimented here and there with maybe doing something live. It was never anything on a regular basis before the pandemic.
Right. And to see the way that people have supported us and joined in on that, it's a gift that I think will continue in 2021.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we don't have we don't do that with a script in mind. Like we might have the beers planned out that we're going to drink.
That's it. That's it.
That's as far as the planning goes. The rest of that is we just talk about whatever comes off the top of our head or what people throw into the chats.
Yes, that's true.
So, I mean, that I think has been really valuable. And then you experimented before with the coffee chats in the morning, and you're bringing those back.
Yeah, I'm bringing those back. I want to be able to catch our people when they can jump in and have a nice start to the day, if they're morning people. But I know some people have or shift work or work nights, or so it depends on when
Shout out to the shift workers.
Yeah, shout out to you. It depends on when you can jump in. So I just want to connect with as many people as possible, and you know how I love coffee.
Well, there's. Like you need an excuse to drink coffee.
Right. And just connect with people. So I'm very thankful that we've had that.
And it also gives us a chance to give people an option to talk over a beverage that's not part of, some people don't like alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
They don't drink. Great. Well, we have coffee for that, or tea.
Or
whatever.
We've been introduced to a lot of great companies that have done terrific coffee for us.
Oh, whether it's Expedition Roasters or Black Rifle,
Narrative
Narrative
coffee
here locally.
Yeah, some great stuff. So very, very happy that we have found all of that.
And then we started, again, you can't go anywhere. So we had to kind of, well, we can go more places now, but for the longest time, you couldn't go anywhere. So you're trying to find, like, what can you do at home to entertain yourself? What can you throw yourself into to pass time? And, you really dove even deeper into yoga.
Yes. And it was so great to be able to have Esther Eckhart, who is the founder of Eckhart Yoga. I discovered the service years ago, looking for a solution for my IT band, and she came on the show this year. And I don't think that would have happened if we hadn't had the chain of events of them and her and her stable of great instructors having live videos on YouTube and being able to interact with them.
So what you're saying is something good came out of this perfect storm of suck.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm very, very thankful because she's like a hero of mine that has affected my life in such a positive way. So, yeah.
And then I threw myself into, I mean, I've always been into tech and, you know, toys and gadgets and all that. And then for our anniversary, Aimee got me a Garmin.
I did.
So I've been really like experimenting with this thing, and I've been talking about it forever. Like, oh, I'm going to do like a comparative thing or review, you know, like looking at this versus an Apple Watch. But
yeah,
what I never like about reviews that I see about new stuff that comes out is like the reviewers have had it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know anything. That's about enough time to figure your way out around a device.
Like the controls and how to navigate it.
Yeah. So, you know, I've been trying to, and the dogs agree, as you can hear.
I don't know what's going on outside. Something.
They're going to go check out the Christmas star. But, you know, been playing with both of these devices now, the Garmin, and of course I've always had an Apple Watch, you know, playing with these and looking at the possibility of, you know, doing like a comparative review type thing and playing around with that. But, you know, it's also given me a chance to kind of dive into the metrics of my running and, you know, what this thing will measure and what benefit I'm giving myself with the training. So, you know, I've gotten to kind of gamify my running a little bit. Oh, if that makes any sense.
And well, what prompted me to get you that was our experience being able to interview Art Smith this year.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
and him
the
agreeing,
best laid plans, you know,
him agreeing to do the Walt Disney World Marathon, what would have been the marathon at the beginning of 2021, our very first.
If everything had gone according to plan, we would be running
together
the Disney Marathon with Chef Art Smith next month.
Yeah.
Clearly that's not happening.
Right. But, you know, when he said, I'll do it with you, and you said, okay, if he's going to do it, then I'll do it. So there'll be all three of us. And so I thought, yeah, if you're going to dive into it and train for it, let's get you the Garmin. And yeah. But so experiences in 2020 that have given us gifts in different ways.
Yeah. And, you know, trying to find the silver lining. And I think that's important, especially, you know, when you continue to hear what's going on, or, you know, if things start seeming down, there are positives. There are good things that have happened this year. And we're fortunate to be able to really do a self-evaluation, or, you know, look at it, you know, dispassionately once you're out of the funk, if you're in that mindset, and go, yeah, you know what? Okay. You know, I jokingly say that 2020 was a perfect storm of suck, but there were some bright spots. There were some good things.
Yeah. Your promotion and all of the things that we got out of running. And I think running gave us the gift of being able to handle the different stressors that we were experiencing.
Oh, I really think that were it not for running, this would have been a much worse year.
Which is why I want to master the physical therapy and get back to running as soon as I can in a healthy way.
In 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk food, since we're talking about bright spots.
Yeah.
You put some questions out to the Runcation Nation today.
I did, and I got almost all of our patrons to give me some of their holiday traditions as far as meals and food go.
And this started with your coffee chat this morning on Instagram, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which you're doing weekdays.
Yeah,
like
somewhere in the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, depending on how long it takes me to brew the coffee and get the camera set up.
And the camera setup goes faster after you've had some coffee.
Yeah. So
But in the 8 o'clock hour Eastern time, maybe people should kind of keep an eye out for you.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah. So, and, who knows, we might expand to Facebook if I can maneuver all of that and have multiple devices without you, or maybe I'll do multiple chats. I don't know. But right now I'm just doing Instagram.
Okay.
For the coffee chat. So we'll see what happens. But out on Instagram, we got some great feedback in terms of holiday traditions, and there are some unexpected holiday traditions in terms of food.
And you were asking, what's a food related holiday tradition?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, or what's your favorite kind of food that you're looking forward to having because the holiday is at the end of this week, or some people have just wrapped up celebrating Hanukkah, that kind of thing. So Wendell, who is one of our patrons.
One of our first patrons.
James Gray was our first, and I believe Wendell was our second. Yes, very early on. So he shares our love of coffee too, and he, as you say, does the Lord's work by providing coffee to the masses.
Absolutely.
He says his mom started a tradition of having pizza at Christmas to keep it low stress at the holidays. And he used to work for a restaurant that was closed on Christmas Eve. So now when he had kids, he would, after he had kids, he brought them into this restaurant so that they could make the pizza with him, and they created some great memories there.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I remember doing something similar with my mom where we would make pizza at home.
Yeah?
Yeah, but that wasn't for the holidays, just in general. But having that shared experience with your kids and making something and then getting to eat what you made, that's so cool.
Yeah. I remember my mother specifically teaching me to make her potato salad.
Oh, I love your mom's
at
potato.
the holidays.
I love your potato salad.
And that's just a very specific memory. Or the one December when I was in high school, when we weren't really making, groundbreaking recipes, but it was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for my dad's football team when they made the playoffs, and they had to travel in buses a great distance, and they needed good fuel before the game. So, yeah. So great memories, lots of laughter. So I appreciated Wendell sharing that. And Josh, who is another more recent patron of ours, he actually, he supports Chicago-style pizza, but he did send in his own suggestion later. His own experience is lasagna.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lasagna. Now, there was a tradition in the Costin household around the holidays, or probably in my teenage years. My uncle introduced my mom to the idea, and she came around to it. So at Thanksgiving, we kind of did away with doing the whole big turkey.
Really?
We would do like a small turkey
Oh,
breast.
okay.
Like
you
we've
still
done
had
before.
it, yeah.
Had a little bit of turkey, but the main entree ended up actually being lasagna.
Like homemade lasagna?
No, not homemade lasagna.
Oh.
They're the Stouffer's.
I love Stouffer's.
Family size pre-made frozen lasagnas.
Yeah, but you got to let it go in the oven so it gets the crunchy bits on top.
And that's what we did.
Yes.
And I mean, it sounds weird, but he was suggesting this for my mom because what a lot of people don't know is my father had a series of strokes when I was 12. And we took care of him at home until he passed away my senior year of high school. So my mom was the full-time caregiver for my father. And, my family was always there to help and couldn't have done it without them.
Right.
But, we always still had family over for meals and for holidays. And my mom was the neighborhood mom. And that was just, that never went away.
Yeah.
And provided her a little bit of an outlet and an opportunity to have some normalcy in life. And that was just something that my uncle was like, hey, this tastes really good and you don't have to work nearly as hard.
Right.
And you can feed an army for nothing.
Exactly.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It was great. So we would always incorporate that, probably starting around my 14th or 15th birthday.
But you haven't brought that tradition into our house yet.
Not yet. We have
The
bought
things I learn when we record the show, people.
But we've bought those lasagnas and given them out to other people, though.
Yes, we have.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
In stressful times and times of need, you just gotta, the tried and true things that work and can sustain you
100%.
are amazing. So a friend of the show, Debo, who actually 3D printed one of the set pieces you see on our live videos, the Run, Eat, Drink podcast logo, she 3D printed and she painted for us.
Super cool.
Super cool, and you see it on our lives if you ever drop in on a beer chat. She just got done celebrating Hanukkah, and she says, so in my family, we've just celebrated Hanukkah. Usually what we do is have Chinese food and go to a movie on Christmas.
We didn't do the Chinese food, but
movies were
Christmas movie.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, that's not really this year, but because now, I mean, streaming services have the movie experience at this point in time.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking about, what Chinese food would be great to have at Christmas? Because, give me some General Tso's chicken.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Honey chicken, orange chicken. Give me some egg rolls. Awesome. Yes.
Well, Meg, who's one of our more recent patrons, she said that she does something similar to a Thanksgiving meal. Mm-hmm. Except instead of the pecan pie or more traditional pumpkin pie,
yeah,
swap in chocolate cake.
Yum. Don't you? Is it German chocolate cake that you love, or is it like a Black Forest cake that you've talked about? What is it?
Yes.
Any chocolate cake.
I mean, I'm not really a big sweets person.
Yes,
generally
we have
speaking.
Talked about that.
You catch me at the right time though. Like if at like an Oktoberfest, if there's German chocolate cake, I'll have a slice.
Okay.
I'm not anti-cake. I'm just not going to seek it out.
But
generally.
you like chocolate over caramel or
Yes.
caramel?
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm a caramel type. I love
caramel is a sauce.
Caramel.
Chocolate is, food of the gods. Literally.
No,
it is literally considered food of the gods. Caramel is just burnt, milk and
it's
butter.
Great.
And
I
sugar.
love.
Just
Is there
saying.
anybody out there that loves caramel as much as I do? Please report in to us, info@runeatdrink.net. I understand
She
that
looks
chocolate is.
You look so dejected.
I do. I'm all of a sudden dejected. I'm all about this chocolate cake deal. Meg has something going there that we can think about in terms of Christmas. But I love caramel. I don't care if it's not food of the gods, okay?
Okay. It's all right.
Okay.
You don't have to explain it to us.
Fine.
Now, Rhonda Lee's talking my language. She mentioned barbecue on Christmas.
Oh.
Sign me up.
Yes, and let me just tell you, some of the best local barbecue we've had has been Beach Brothers Barbecue, which is a pop-up, right?
Yes, that's a locally owned,
It's
family-owned pop-up.
Family-owned pop-up, and sometimes they'll be with our friends at Number 3, Craft Brews. And they're fantastic, but like we mentioned in Jacksonville, a mecca of food and beverage, we had the chance to sit down with Chad Muncie and have a sampling of their amazing barbecue menu at the Bearded Pig. So great. So great.
Oh, yeah.
So barbecue, and really nationwide, anywhere you can get Mission Barbecue.
They really do an amazing job at Mission Barbecue for a chain. You wouldn't know that they're a chain to taste their food.
It's the brisket.
Yeah.
It's the brisket.
Their brisket is ridiculous.
Brisket.
And their sausage.
Well, yes, true. What is it? Jalapeno and
cheddar sausage.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, great option
Yes.
there. I would have that on Christmas. Happy birthday, Jesus. Pass the brisket.
Yes, exactly.
So
There you go. But, homemade items maybe where it's at as well.
Oh, yeah.
And John Schroeder, who is another longtime patron of our show, he makes stuffed calamari for his family. And it sounds amazing. We have to get some photos of what he does, and we have to share them with the Runcation Nation. Yeah.
Yeah, he's described this a couple of times. I'm on board for anything.
For sure.
Calamari.
For sure.
And,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And Stephanie Swan, who jumps into our lives quite frequently, she says, a goat cheese log with pistachios and dried cranberries with a drizzle of honey is where it's at for her at Christmas.
Yep. Sign me up.
Yeah. Just get
I want all the things.
Triscuits or crackers, like butter crackers. With that. And
Susie Beck, our newest patron.
Yes.
Says waffles and bacon along with mimosas are a Christmas morning must. Now, I can tell you, in my entire life, I've never had waffles on Christmas.
I haven't either.
Never.
No.
Not because I'm anti-waffle. I'm not anti-waffle. I'm very pro-waffle.
Yeah. Yeah. But just it's not something that's a tradition in our house or wasn't as a child growing up either.
We didn't own a waffle maker when I take that back.
We didn't either, I don't think.
We had a waffle maker.
You did?
It never got used.
Oh, we never had one in the house.
Yeah, I think we had like my parents' kitchen growing up was like Alton Brown's nightmare of filled with unitasking devices. So, they had one of everything, but never really did waffles. Pancakes, yes. Waffles, no.
Yeah. Then we also have patrons John and Nancy Bagliani who say prime rib and mashed potatoes along with wine is a holiday tradition.
I'm on board with that too.
Rib?
I love a good prime rib.
Yes.
Love potatoes. Combine the two. Come on.
Amazing. Rob
Nadow says that his wife makes a great candied ham. That's a favorite of his.
He is an insider for us.
I love
of the show.
There's something just so magical about like you get a ham and you're doing the roast and you've got that if you're doing like a brown sugar glaze
and you glaze it over the time that you cook every so often
and it gets that crust going. Oh man, where you actually get the bite, the crunch.
Yeah, give me the crust.
Yeah, the crust is a must.
Mm-hmm. Of course, I see what you did.
See what I did there.
I see what you did. I was interested in, you've talked about this. You have talked about the tradition of crazy bread from childhood at, what is it, Little Caesars?
Yeah, this evolved over time. It started with my birthday being in November. So you had my birthday in early November, then you had Thanksgiving in late November, then Christmas in December. And again, like I talked about with my mom, and we were always still the gathering point for family. And it started with me and my friends and having friends over for my birthday. How do you feed an army of teenagers? Well, there's really, if you're looking at like carry out pizza, Little Caesars, pizza,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good deals. And 14, 15-year-old kids don't care about quality. They're just going for sheer volume. Mm-hmm. So, Little Caesars. They love pizza. Teenagers love pizza.
Absolutely. And, so we would get pizza, and crazy bread is where we got introduced to crazy bread back then. Mm-hmm. Well, then, it transitioned into, my uncle suggesting doing the lasagnas, and then my mom would have all this family. We would have 20 people in my house growing up. And you remember
I do.
What that house was like. It's a little over 1,200 square foot house.
Yeah, I mean, like there wasn't even room to move the one time that I experienced that.
And we got people outside, inside, and they basically would do a buffet in the kitchen, serve yourself and go. And my mom just picked up on this idea of doing crazy bread. Well, then that expanded to when she was working at a place called Castellano and Pizzo's in Tampa. Mm-hmm. She was working at the deli there. they did amazing Cuban sandwich rings. And she would get Cuban sandwich rings with spiced olive mix,
Ooh.
like an olive salad,
Ooh.
and pepperoncinis, and you'd have like this great savory sandwich option. Grab crazy bread, and then some of the traditional stuff, and then if you wanted lasagna, go for that too. But it was just, you kind of pick from it. But the crazy bread carried through from my initial birthday celebrations on into Thanksgiving and then into Christmas, because we would always have 15 to 25 people at the house.
Just the sheer volume of people.
Yeah. And but it was so well received.
It's butter and cheese on bread.
Yeah. I mean, it's not gourmet, but it's tasty.
Yeah.
And if you've never had it, get it. And then they even got fancy. And this is before they got fancy with having pepperoni stuffed crazy bread. This was just the plain old bread. They might have crazy sauce.
With
which
butter.
Basically garlic butter.
And cheese. Like Parmesan cheese.
So that was kind of a thing that it was kind of off the wall, but it stuck, and the family loved it, and the kids loved it, and the adults ended up loving it. So,
well, you talk
stuck.
about the sandwich rings, the Cuban sandwich rings. A newer tradition for us that I just love is when we have Christmas normally with my family on Christmas Eve, and then we get in the car and we drive to Tampa to stay overnight and then spend Christmas Day with your family.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we get the Columbia restaurant.
Oh, we've talked about them plenty.
And we've talked about
them
them plenty. So if you go back and you listen to some recent episodes, like the Tampa Trifecta episode, we talk about Cuban sandwiches. Oh, so good. And that is one recent tradition that I am really looking forward to.
Oh, me too. And I think I'm pretty confident we're heading back there later this week.
Naturally, come on.
It's going to happen.
Yes.
But you also have another tradition.
Well, I mean, connected to family, you talked about ham, Rob Nadeau talked about the candied ham. There's country ham that my dad would do with biscuits, but
which is the exact opposite of candied ham.
Right. It's the saltier of the two. And but another newer tradition that we have adopted, we found bread pudding, a panettone bread pudding. And panettone is like the better version of
fruitcake.
Fruitcake. Yes. Thank you.
It's the fruit from fruitcake baked into a semi-sweet,
pillowy, airy bread. And so you take that and you make bread pudding with it, with an eggnog type batter.
Now, to get all Cliff Clavin on you, that bread actually it goes all the way back to the Crusades.
Okay.
And the Crusaders would actually have this bread that they could carry with them because it had the dried fruit in it.
Yeah.
And it would actually give them nourishment and the other vitamins, minerals,
nutrients
and things that they needed. Yeah.
Well, so I just like it in the bread puddings. And I like that we do the bread puddings in little muffin tins so each person can have their own individual bread pudding.
Easy way to make it. Packs nicely and tastes amazing. And you can do it with either some ice cream on the side, or you can do it with a little whipped cream, and it's perfect.
So good. So those are two recent traditions that I'm really looking forward to this year.
But before we go on to talk about our drinks, we want to say thank you to all of our patrons. We've mentioned it a little bit earlier. The fact that you guys not only supported us, but have added to the ranks of the Runcation Nation in 2020 is just absolutely incredible.
You have helped us grow, and we have to shout out, as of this last weekend, our newest patron, our first fan of the show at the $2 level, Susie Beck.
Woohoo!
We are so excited to have you. And I mean, she thought, oh, I love what you do, want to keep seeing it. So here you go. I'm a fan of the show.
And we cannot thank you enough, Susie. You rock
Yeah.
for doing that. Your $2 a month, believe it or not, is huge in aggregate. It helps keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing. And we have multiple patronage levels, $2, $5, and $10. Each of those have their own special perks. Head over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast to see what those perks are for each level and sign up. Patrons get a look behind the scenes and get access to special interviews, cooking demos, exclusive audio and video messages from us, and much more.
It would make a great last-minute gift for that podcast fan, that runner in your life, as we head into the final hours of the holidays.
Oh, time is running out.
Plus, it gives us the ability to keep bringing you content when travel. It's been a little crazy, and it's provided its own unique challenges in 2020.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
We hope you'll give us the opportunity to grow, achieve our goal, and keep bringing you additional content too.
Our show is always going to be free. But if you're looking for a way to support us and you want to see more and connect more with the rest of the Runcation Nation and with us, go to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Or if you're in the Podbean ecosystem, just go to the top of our podcast page, click on Become a Patron. It's the same patronage levels with all the same perks right there.
Mm-hmm. And we can't thank you enough for supporting our show.
We supported local.
We did.
This past weekend.
Because there were local, I mean, I don't think they branded them as holiday releases, but they felt very holiday to me.
Yeah, it did. And we mentioned on our Facebook and Instagram Live last week, they came up in conversation. Our friends over at 8 Foot Brewing, they did some special beer releases this past weekend, and we saw it, and we said, we're going to go over there and support those guys again.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that we did.
I mean, you did a live from there while I was working one day.
That was almost a year ago.
I know.
It's time to let it go.
I was just jealous. And this time I was so happy to get to participate.
True.
They released a s'mores stout, a breakfast stout, an apple cinnamon donut stout. And we got to sample 2 of these.
Yes.
Yeah, I got the apple cinnamon donut, which is 11.4%, and it was made with cinnamon, vanilla beans, and marshmallow, and it was actually based on their apple brandy barrel metamorphosis stout, the imperial stout that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they have that in cans to go, but the apple cinnamon donut that I had was on draft, and I can tell you it came with a donut from Divine Donuts.
I mean, come on. That's a local donut shop here.
In Fort Myers. It was very like a cake cinnamon apple donut, delicious. Then I dunked it in the stout. So tasty, and it came with a cinnamon sugar rim as well.
This was almost a
fancy
beer cocktail.
Yeah, it was fancy. It was in like a snifter type glass.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, yes, it packs a punch at 11.4, but it was sweet, but it wasn't a syrupy body. We've had some syrupy stouts in the past.
Oh, yeah.
That could almost be desserts unto themselves. But this was a little bit lighter than that. It wasn't too heavy on the carbonation.
I didn't think it was too super sweet either.
Not too super sweet. It was like the essence of cinnamon without the burn, and the slight sweetness from the vanilla and the marshmallow. It was excellent.
Yeah, yours was really good, and it looked so pretty when they brought it out. Everything looked so good.
Yeah.
The presentation was great on these. And mine was really just as visually appealing as well as taste-wise. I went with the breakfast stout.
Yeah.
This clocked in at a whopping 10% ABV. So I was in the double digits too.
Yeah, you were just a little bit lower than I.
This is made, what I love about this, they made it with coffee from our friends over at Urban Buzz Coffee here in Cape Coral, which is literally walking distance from the brewery at 8 Foot.
Yeah.
It is 100 to 150 yards from the brewery.
And it is always packed and always busy.
It's a cool little spot. It basically has one drive-up window, one walk-up window, and I think one table sitting outside. And that's it. Mm-hmm. But this place rocks. I mean, they are busy nonstop. But the breakfast stout was made with coffee. It was also made with waffles from a place over in Fort Myers called Bullig.
Yes.
Which has been recommended to us by none other than
Morgan the Moose.
The Moose Wright
Yes.
from
American Ninja Warrior.
American Ninja Warrior.
Love it. One of my favorite shows.
Friend of ours and friend of the show.
Yeah.
And he said, we have got to get over there.
We will.
And they also made this in conjunction with other friends of the show, our buddies over at the Pub Gods.
Oh, yes.
And the Pub Gods is a father and son team, and they hit breweries all over mostly the state of Florida. I think they may have gone out of state for some, but they brought the guys over at 8 Foot some maple syrup, and they brought it to them, I think, from Maine.
Was it Maine, Vermont?
Maine or Vermont.
Somewhere up north.
And brought them this maple syrup, and Roger was like, oh, I could do something with that.
Yeah,
And-
Roger, the
and
owner, head
Yeah.
brewer,
Mad scientist.
mad scientist. Yes.
So he takes this maple syrup, he takes the Bullig waffles, he takes the Urban Buzz coffee, and that goes into the making of this breakfast stout. And when they served it with a fresh cooked quarter waffle garnishing the glass.
Yeah. Your glass was a little bit cloudier than mine.
Yeah, the color on mine was almost like a dark chocolate milk.
Yeah.
It had a little
Really
bit of
dark.
a cloudiness to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was something from the waffle batter being in the brew.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it was so good, and also they did something with it which I wasn't expecting, and if I'm not mistaken, the way they did it was very similar to the way we've seen it done at some other places like Nice Guys with the Pendennis. This one was actually served with maple smoke.
Yeah.
So they smoked a little maple wood. I think they turned the glass upside down to
Kind of
get
like
them.
we've seen the Pendennis at Nice Guys. I
Right.
see. Yes.
And then so you had
I see where you were going now.
So you had the maple flavor of the syrup. You had the maple smoke in the glass. You had the bready malty flavor of the waffle batter in this stout.
Good.
But like yours, this is not the heaviest body stout I've ever had.
No.
This was medium body.
Yeah.
I've had much heavier and not super sweet.
Oh.
A little bit of sweetness to it, but
Yeah.
nothing like I've had much sweeter
Actually, there was a little bit of bitterness on the end.
on the end. Yes.
On the end, yeah. So with yours, and that's not a bad thing. It's just the different finish from mine.
Uh-huh.
But I could not be happier with the selections that we had. In fact, I am disappointed that we did not get to try the s'mores stout that has graham crackers, marshmallow, cacao nibs, and it's supposed to have a marshmallow rim with cocoa powder.
No, it was a cocoa powder rim
Cocoa powder rim
with a toasted marshmallow floating, and I saw it get served.
Well, it says served with a cocoa powder and marshmallow rim.
Well, the way I saw it getting served, it had a toasted marshmallow kind of on a skewer.
That's amazing. Yeah, but it comes with a toasted marshmallow. Yes.
Either way.
Yes. I want all of that.
Well, maybe the toasted marshmallow is how they made the cocoa powder stick to the rim. I don't know. But it looked incredible. But it was also 10% ABV.
Yeah, so we want to go back and we want to try that for sure. And we are just so happy for them and their success. And we're so lucky to be there on the launch for these stouts. That felt very holiday.
Yes, it did. And there, great crowd that showed up. Everybody was having fun. And it was just really, really good to see Roger and his wife and everybody
Julian
there.
and yeah. So thanks to the folks out at 8 Foot, and we can't wait to come back. And if you've ever been there, or if you're local, or once travel resumes, if you can get there, just get the charcuterie.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Just do it. You won't be disappointed.
Well, guess what?
Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Another show is in the can.
It is.
We'd like for you folks to do us a favor. Share our show on your social media, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're at. Do us a favor and just share our show.
We are at Run Eat Drink Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and we are at Run Eat Drink Pod on Twitter. Help our Runcation Nation grow. Help your friends, fellow runners, fellow fans of podcasts find us, and so that we can be together in 2021 even better.
We want to accomplish, explore, and indulge with all of you. And you can help us do that by sharing the show.
Well, we wish you the happiest of holidays this week.
We will be talking to you again. We got a Facebook and Instagram Live coming up Wednesday night. Stay tuned to our social media channels for the exact time once we nail that down and figure out what we're going to be sharing.
Exactly.
On there, because like we said, it's not scripted, but it's going to be a great excuse for us to take a break from gift wrapping and the hustle and bustle of the holiday prep. Just chill out with us for an hour Wednesday night.
Break away from sometimes stressful time and just hang out.
Exactly.
So thank you for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, gift wrapping and holiday prepping, wherever you are. I am your host, Aimee.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe, stay well, and we will talk to you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.